Number one is we need to change. All right, look to the person next to you and say, we need to change. Or if you're sitting by yourself, say to yourself, I need to change. Look at what Jesus said here in verse number 3. And he said, I tell you the truth, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, this word change is one of the words in the New Testament that the Bible uses for repentance. And what does repentance mean? It means to change your mind. It means to change your direction. It means that you're going this way, but then you do a U-turn or you do a 180, and now you're going back into a different direction. When the Bible talks about repentance, the Bible's calling us to change our foundation, to change our purpose for living, to change our perspective, to change our direction in our lives. And that's really what Jesus is doing here. Jesus, like I said, he's getting ready to flip the world's values upside down, and in reality, he's getting ready to turn them right side up. Right? Because in the world that we live in, those who finish first are first, and those who finish last are last. But then Jesus comes into the world, and he flips the values of the world upside down when he says that the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Jesus comes into the world, and he's giving us kingdom values. He's teaching us. He's saying, listen, if you want to keep your life, you're going to lose it. But if you lose your life, then you'll be able to keep it. Jesus comes into the world, and he teaches us, if you want to be the greatest, then you've got to become a servant of all people. These are the kingdom values. These are the kingdom principles that Jesus came to teach his followers. So we've got to analyze. We've got to internalize. We've got to take an accounting of our thinking and our living. Have I adopted a worldly approach to life? Or am I living based on godly principles? When we think about money, when I think about money, am I thinking about money in a worldly way, or am I thinking about it in a godly way? Is money my God? Or is money something that I can use to serve God? When I think about work, am I looking at work from a worldly way perspective, or am I looking at it from a godly perspective? Is work everything to me? Or is work a way for me to use my gifts and my talents that God has given to me in order to serve him? Is work a place that I see, man, these are the co-workers God's given me, man, I can shine my light to these people. When I look at marriage, am I looking at marriage from a worldly perspective, or am I looking at it from a godly perspective? Do I see that my marriage is supposed to be a picture of Christ's love for his church? When we talk about politics, am I looking at politics from a worldly perspective, or am I looking at it from a godly perspective? When's the last time you prayed for the president? Are you looking at it from a worldly perspective, or are you looking at it from a godly perspective? And so this forces us to say, listen, I have to change, because there's so much of the world in my thinking that needs to be erased so that I can live and think and act and value what's important to God.